Good morning, students. Welcome back to online class on programming for a problem solving course. In our previous session, we discussed about the scope of the variable. We defined what is scope and how this scope will be affected if you declare the variable in calling function and as a parameter to the function and inside the called function. Okay, in three different areas when you declare a function, when you declare a variable, how that variable's scope will get affected in detail we discussed. And we have also seen the different types of variables based on the scope, that is local variable, global variable, and variable as a parameter. Okay, and after that we have also seen between the called function and calling function the concept of formal parameters and actual parameters. We discussed the differences between local global variables as well as formal actual parameters. All these things we have covered in our previous session. Global variables concept with example we have seen, and the difference between local and global variables we have discussed, and we have defined few parameters, and based on those parameters we have differentiated between local variable and global variable. Then we have also discussed the actual parameters, formal parameters, and the differences. So in today's class we will discuss one of the important concept from this functions, third unit functions, that is inter-function communication. Hopefully I will try to cover two LAQs in this session. One is inter-function communication and the other one is passing arrays to functions. So these two are important LAQ questions. So most probably in your what we call internal exams, there is a possibility that I can put this question as a 7 marks LAQ. Okay, 7 marks LAQ. And in your most recent paper, that is the AICTE model university paper, they asked this question for 8 marks, because the total weightage over there it was 15 marks. So they asked this question for 8 marks. So the concept of interfunction communication, it is very simple to understand when two functions are communicating with each other. So if one function is sending data to other function, that process we call it as the communication between the functions. And in order to communicate, in order to establish the communication between the functions, this interfunction communication concept is helpful. So interfunction communication is a concept through which calling function and called function will communicate with each other and exchange the data. Basically, communication in the sense when two persons, let us say take the real-time example, when two parties or two persons are communicating with each other, what does it exactly means? What does it actually means? Two persons are communicating in the sense two persons are sharing their ideas with each other or sharing their feelings with each other. So that sort of what we call one-to-one interaction, we call it as a communication between the people. Okay, so if you take in programming function communication in the sense where two functions are going to talk with each other, and how they will talk with each other means, because they don't have senses, like they don't have voice to talk with each other. So basically when we are saying when that two functions are talking with each other, in the sense they are sharing the information or they are exchanging the data in between. Okay, so exchange the data. Here when we are saying interfunction communication, it means that two functions are talking with each other and exchanging the data. Okay, here two functions in the sense one function will be the calling function and the other function will be the called function. So this difference we need to understand. What is calling function and what is called function? See, when we have written programs in our previous session using functions, so we said, we wrote like this: int main of void. Then in this we are calling the user defined function. I mean, whatever functions like example function we discussed. So example function I'm calling over here. Inside the main function I'm calling the example function. So at some point when you are calling this user defined function example from your main, inside your program itself, at some point you have to give the code for this example, because it is a user defined function. It is not a predefined function. So what I am doing over here, after some lines of code inside my program itself, I am writing my example function code. So like this we have to write example of, yeah, here I am not mentioning the return value as well as the parameter type, because I'm not I'm not focusing on that one. So that's the reason I did not put, and don't think that we can ignore those two. When you are defining a function, it is must and should that you have to put the return type. Even if the function is not having any return type, you have to put the return type as void, that we discussed already. So example function code here I'm writing. So 1, 2, 3, 4 lines of code, and then I'm closing the example function like this. So now in this, who are calling example function? The main function is calling the example function, isn't it? The main function is calling the example function. So my main function will become the calling function. I must say main as the calling function, because it is calling my example function. Who is calling my example function? Main is calling, because inside the main body only I kept the example function call. So main is my calling function. And who is called from the main function? Example is called from the main function. So this example I must say as the called function. Called function. You have to understand this difference. What is calling function? The function which is calling the user defined function, we must call that function as the calling function. And what is called function, in the sense, the function which is called from the calling function will be known as the called function. Okay, here in our case, in our example, the main function is calling the example function. So main function will become the calling function, and example will become the called function. Okay, example will become the called function. So now the main function, in order to communicate with the example function, the only available way is through parameters only. How the main function is going to communicate with example, in the sense, by passing the parameters only. That is the only way through which the main, that is calling function, will communicate with the called function. Here you can see inter-function communication is a concept through which calling function is nothing but your main function in my case. Calling function and called function is nothing but example function in my case. So calling function and called function will communicate with each other and exchange the data. And that exchange of data, how they will do means with the help of parameters only, through parameters only. So here we put those parameters, and here the example function will receive those parameters. Here the main function will pass the parameters, and here the example function will receive those parameters. So the parameters, what the main function is passing, we call them as actual parameters. What the main function is passing, we call those parameters as actual parameters. More specifically, the parameters what the calling function is passing to the called function. Just note down this statement. The parameters what the calling function is passing to the called function, we call them as actual parameters. And what are formal parameters, in the sense, the parameters what the called function is receiving from the calling function. Okay, the parameters what the called function is receiving from the calling function, we call them as formal parameters. Remember this one, formal parameters. So we have discussed many different examples in such a way where we used actual parameters and parameters, formal parameters. The entire function concept, the point when we started this functions concept, from that point onwards we have discussed many different examples where we used actual parameters and parameters, formal parameters. Simply remember, Okay, inside the main function, that is nothing but inside the calling function, when you are calling the called function, the parameters which you are passing at that point, we call them as actual parameters. And the parameters which we are receiving inside the called function, we call them as formal parameters. So this basic difference you need to understand. What is calling function? I have explained. What is actual parameters? I have explained. What are formal parameters and what is called function? That also I have explained over here in detail. Okay, at the time of doing the practical for these strategies, interfunction communication strategies, I will once again try to explain all these terminological terms. Hopefully you understood. So the data flow, because we said when two functions are communicating, they basically share the data, isn't it? What they will do, they share the data, and that data flow, sharing the data is nothing but the data must flow from the calling function to the called function. That data flow between the calling function and the called function can be divided into three strategies. Okay, three strategies. The first one is downward flow. Okay, downward flow. And one more thing which you have to understand over here is always the calling function should come first. Okay, always the calling function should come first and then the called function will come. Okay, always the calling function should come first, then the called function will come in our coding. Okay, remember this one. So the strategies, okay, the data flow between the calling function and called function, how it will be in the sense we have three different strategies through which we share the data or through which we exchange the data between calling function and called function. What are they in the sense? The first one is downward communication. Downward communication. The second one upward communication, and the last one is bidirectional communication. Bidirectional communication. So as we just now discussed that the calling function will come at the top and called function will come at the bottom, and here downward communication in the sense if only the calling function is sending the data and called function is receiving the data from top to bottom. Calling function will be at the top and called function will be at the bottom, isn't it? If the data flow is from top to bottom, that is from calling function to the called function, we call such a communication as downward flow or downward communication. Okay, downward flow. And if that data flow is in opposite direction, that is from called function to the calling function in the opposite direction, okay, because the calling function is coming at the top and called function is coming at the bottom, and if the data flow is in opposite direction, that is from called function to the calling function, we call this strategy as upward communication. Upward communication, from bottom to the top. From bottom to the top. Downward means from the top to the bottom. Okay, from the top to the bottom, downward. Upward means from bottom to top. Always calling function will come at the top and called function will come at the bottom. So downward means from calling to called and upward means from called to calling. And bidirectional means both. Okay, here what will happen in bidirectional communication? Both the calling function will send the data to the called function and called function will also send the data back to the calling function. So this type of communication or this type of data flow strategy, we call it as bidirectional communication. Hopefully you remember this. Downward, upward, bidirectional. Very simple to remember. Okay, very simple to understand and very simple to remember. Okay, so quickly we go and we see these three strategies in detail with examples, because it is an LAQ, you have to elaborate this concept or this topic as much as possible. Interfunction communication, it is one of the important concept. Okay, they will also ask this question in a twisted way. They will give a different concept name for this one. What are the different parameter passing techniques in C? Because these are parameter passing techniques only, isn't it? In interfunction communication, what we are doing, we are passing parameters From calling function to the called function, what we are doing, we are passing parameters only. So it is a parameter passing techniques only. Okay, all these are. Okay, or they will also ask this question in another way. They say what is call by value and what is call by reference. That also very soon we will try to understand. Okay, if they ask this question also, what is call by value and what is call by reference, for that also you have to write the concept of interfunction communication only. Okay, because the first type of communication, whatever we are seeing over here, downward flow, it is the example of call by value, and the remaining two, upward flow and bidirectional flow, they are the examples for call by reference. That also I will write over here. The first type is an example for call by value. Okay, call by value, and the remaining two, second one and third one, they are the examples for call by reference. Call by reference. Remember this one. Call by value, call by reference. Hopefully you understood. So then here you can see this one, the calling function, always it is coming at the top as we discussed, and the called function, it is always coming at the bottom as we discussed. And based on this, how the data flow, how the data sharing will be done, if it is from calling function to the called function, we call it as downward flow, and it is example for call by value. Call by value. Okay, and if the data flow from the called function towards the calling function, it is upward flow or upward communication. And the last one, if it is bidirectional, that means both the calling function is sending data to the called function and called function is also returning data back to the calling function. If these two things are happening in your communication, in your data flow, we call this as bidirectional communication. Okay, and these two strategies, the upward flow and the bidirectional flow, they are examples for call by reference, because we use references over here. To establish this communication, we use references. Okay, call by reference example. And to establish this type of communication, we use only data values. We don't use any references. Remember this one. This is very, very important question. Okay, then the downward flow communication. In downward flow communication, what will happen? Only the calling function sends the data to the called function. Nothing in reverse. Okay, only the calling function will send the data to the called function, and no data flows in opposite direction. Nothing in reverse. Okay, the called function, I mean whatever function we are writing, or whatever function which is receiving the data from the called function, it may changes the value. Always when we are sending the data to some function, if it is not modifying or if it is not using the data, it is useless to send the data to that function, isn't it? So always whatever data you are sending to the called function from the calling function, definitely the called function will modify that received data, isn't it? Definitely it will modify. So already I told you, whatever parameters or whatever data values the calling function is sending to the called function, at the calling function we call them as actual parameters, and at the called function we call them as formal parameters. Okay, so the values which are received by the called function, we call them as formal parameters, and the called function is having the full right on the parameters, formal parameters, to update them, to change them, to modify them, whatever it want to do with them. But here you have to remember one thing. In call by value mechanism, that is nothing but in downward flow type communication, whatever changes the called function is doing to the formal parameters, it is not going to affect the actual parameters. The actual parameters will remain unchanged or untouched, we can say. Third point, if you read, the called function may change the values passed, that is formal parameters, but the original values, that is actual parameters in the calling function, remains unchanged or untouched. The reason, scope of the variable. Okay, the actual parameters will have the scope within calling function only, and the formal parameters will have scope within called function only. And formal parameters are modified inside the what we call called function. So whatever modifications you are doing to the called functions parameters, formal parameters, they will not affect your actual parameters, because your actual parameters will remain unchanged, intact. Okay. Yes, the fourth point here you can see the pass by value mechanism or call by value mechanism is the perfect solution for downward communication. Okay, for this downward communication they may ask you to write about pass by value or call by value mechanism also. Instead of asking to write about downward communication or downward flow, they may also ask you to write about call by value or pass by value mechanism. So whatever twisted term they use, concept is same, interfunction communication, and in that the downward flow you have to write. And the last one, a variable is declared and defined in the called function for each value to be received from the calling function. Suppose from the calling function in actual parameters, if whatever values you are passing inside the calling function at actual parameters, whatever number of parameters you are passing, a suitable type and number of parameters, or we should say a same type of variable should be declared at the formal parameters to receive that value. Okay, so quickly, downward communication is one-way communication. The calling function can send the data to the called function, but the called function cannot send any data back to the calling function. Only the calling function will send the data to the called function, and nothing will be in return. So quickly we must understand this concept with the help of a program. Okay, downward communication, where only the calling function will send the data to the called function, and the calling function will not receive any data back from the calling function. So I am writing a simple program so that you will understand this. Okay, okay, here this is the structure, and in order to establish, or in order to make the downward data flow, I am declaring one variable. I'm using one function. The return type must be void, because the called function is not returning anything. So void, and the function name I'm taking downflow. Downflow is my function name, and to this function I'm going to pass two values of type integer. So here declare two values, integer a equals to 20, comma b is equals to 40. So these two values I'm going to pass to my function. Downflow is my function name, and I'm passing a comma b. Okay, so to see the difference, I mean, if I do the changes to the formal parameters, because here these two things a and b are actual parameters. This is my this is my calling function. Main function is my calling function. Basically main function is my calling function, because it is calling the downflow. Okay, because it is calling the downflow, I must say main function as the calling function. And here a comma b are actual parameters, because they are passing, I mean, we are passing a and b in the calling function. So whatever parameters we pass in the calling function, we call them as actual parameters. So now yes, actual parameters after downflow call. So we are printing the actual parameters values after the downflow call, a comma b. Okay, at the end put the semicolon. Simple thing. Then next what we have to do, go and write the definition, because function declaration is there, call is there, but definition is missing. So now write the definition. Return type is void, and function name is downflow of, it should receive two parameters, a comma int b. It is receiving two parameters, and over here, as it is receiving two parameters, what we must do over here in the sense, do some changes to that AB. Okay, here a comma b, when you have received at the called, this is your called function, this is your called function, and a comma b are formal parameters. What are they? They are formal parameters. Okay, a comma b are formal parameters. Okay, so here do some changes to those formal parameters. Okay, a equals to some a plus 45, I am changing the value, a plus 10 you do. Okay, I am changing a value. Then b is equals to b plus some 10. Whatever values we are having into a and b, I am simply adding 10 to them. Okay, so now what I am doing here, these are nothing but changes to the formal parameters, isn't it? Changes to the formal parameters. So are they going to affect, according to our discussion, are they going to affect my actual parameters? No, they are not going to affect my actual parameters. So what will happen when I execute this program? I must get actual parameters after downflow call, because here only I am calling downflow function. So immediately the control will jump from here to here, and it will do the update, do the change inside formal parameters, and again it will come back to the function call, that is downflow function call. And after that we have the printf statement, and which is printing the actual parameters values. So according to our discussion, whatever changes we are doing to the a and b values, they must not affect the actual parameters a and b, because here a and b are formal and here a and b are actual. So changes made to the formal parameters should not affect the actual parameters. It is our statement. It is our conclusion statement over here that you need to understand and remember. Once again I am repeating. So changes made to the formal parameters, here a comma b are formal. So changes made to the formal parameters must not affect the actual parameters. So if you see the output, you will observe that one. So here this is interfunction.c. Okay, so now go to compile. Compilation is successful, and then execute. As you can see, we are getting the actual parameters a and b values like 20, 40 only, which we have declared. And whatever changes we are doing to the formal parameters, they are not affecting my actual parameters. My actual parameters are intact. That's what I mean to say over here. My actual parameters are intact, unchanged. And whatever changes I am doing to the formal parameters, and that is not affecting my actual parameters. Hopefully you understood this one. So we'll go further and we'll see what we have in our discussion. The upward communication, or we also call it as call by reference. Okay, so in upward communication, what will happen? Only the called function will send the data back to the calling function. Only the called function will send data back to the calling function, and calling function will not pass any data to the called function. Okay, the calling function will not pass any data to the called function, and only the called function will send the data to the calling function. Okay, concept is simple. I will make the elaboration over here. We were having calling function at the top. Okay, upward means this calling function should not send anything down. Okay, then we have called function only from down to up. Okay, from down to up, that is in this direction. Only the called function will send the data to the calling function, and calling function will not send any data to the called function. This thing is not there, only this thing is there. Okay, so because of that reason only, because it is in upward direction, we are calling this as upward communication. Upward communication. Remember this one. Why we are calling upward communication means because the data flow is in upward direction. Okay, C provides only one way for upward flow, the return statement. Okay, using the return statement also we can achieve the upward communication. Using return statement will only send one piece of data. It should not be like that, isn't it? When we are discussing something, there should not be any restrictions on that one. So okay, you can, I mean, when we are establishing the communication, you need to establish the full-fledged communication between the functions. When we are establishing the communication, we should establish a full-fledged communication. It should not be like that, okay, you can send only one word, you can say only one word, and after that you have to be calm. Is it the right way to communicate with other parties? It is not, isn't it? So you're communicating with one person and you're saying you must say only one word, and after that you have to be quiet. What he will feel? He will feel that you are arrogant or you are selfish. Likewise, he will get the impression. So it should not, the communication should not be in that way. The communication should be a bidirectional. I mean, both the sending party as well as the receiving party should have full-fledged freedom to say whatever they want to say or to send whatever they want to send. Likewise, because the return statement is having the limitation of sending only one piece of data, we are not going with that return statement. Rather, to send the multiple values back to the calling function, we have to use references. Instead of values or instead of variables, we have to use references. References are memory locations. References are nothing but memory locations which carries the data from called function to the calling function and returns the data back from the calling function to the called function. Okay. So first we will discuss how upward communication takes place with return keyword and why it is not the perfect way, what are the limitations over there. Then we will go for the references concept and how using the references, how we are receiving back the data. Everything we will discuss. So quickly I will open my this one, the editor. Here instead of down, now it is upward communication. So upflow, and it is not going to send any data. So I will make this as void, and it is not going to, it is going to receive data because upward, right? So here I'm not going to have anything. So I will remove this entire thing. Okay. So my function call is upflow, and I'm not passing anything. So the inside the calling, no need to specify anything, but I'm receiving. Okay, receiving. So REC variable I'm declaring. Receiving in the sense whatever upflow function is going to return, that I am receiving. So basically I'm going to return an integer value from upflow function. So here no need of actual parameters now. The received values. Okay, received value, because only one value we can receive. Received value %d, okay, comma REC. As you can see, we can receive only one value. The return type must be integer, and here instead of downflow, you make this function as upflow, and here nothing we are passing. So the parameter list is void because we are not passing anything, but we are receiving one thing in return. So using the return keyword, we can achieve this one. Using what? Using the return keyword, we can achieve. So using return keyword, what is the limitation? We can pass only one value. We can pass only one value. That is return. Let us say I'm declaring one variable over here. Int a is equals to 40. And that 40 I'm returning from here. Return a. So whatever value this upflow, because here only we are declaring the variable a, and from here only we are passing the variable a back to the calling function. This is my called function. This is my called function, and this is my calling function. From called function, the parameter a value I am passing back to the calling function. As you can see, the calling function is not sending anything. Only the called function is sending back the value. So this type of communication, of course, it is upward communication, but it is not a full-fledged communication. Only one piece of data we are passing, and it is not possible to pass more than one piece of data from the called function back to the calling function. We can pass at most only one value. So compile it, execute it, and as we are receiving that a value inside REC variable, you can see that received value as 40 from the called function to the calling function in this way. Okay, the next thing, what procedure you have to follow, I mean what technique you have to follow if you want to return more values from the called function back to the calling function. The concept is using references. References in the sense the addresses of the variables. So here you have to use pointers, int star comma int star. Two integer type of variables I am going to receive in return from the called function back to the calling function. Here what you do, declare two variables a comma b. Okay, declare two variables a comma b and declare their values also, a value as 10 and b value as 20. A value as 10 and b value are no need because we are not passing the data na. We are not passing data, so don't put the values here. Instead of, and no need to initialize the function call with variable. So here you put, instead of passing a comma b, because if you put a comma b, this will become like call by value. Okay, instead of passing the values, pass the references, call by reference, pass the references. References are nothing but addresses. More in detail about references, about addresses, we will discuss in your fourth unit, in your fifth unit under pointers concept. Okay, so ampersand a, ampersand b, ampersand a is the address of a, ampersand b is the address of b variable. Okay, now because we are receiving multiple values from the called function, you have to say received values. Okay, percentile d, percentile d. Okay, percentile d, percentile d, and over here print the values of a comma b only. Okay, initially as you can see we have not initialized any values to a comma b. We are going to receive the values of a comma b from the called function. So over here receive those references into pointers, int star a ptr comma int star b ptr. We are receiving the value of a address of a into aptr, and we are receiving the address of b into bptr. Now what you do is simply put some values into those memory locations. So here address of a is nothing but we are sending the memory location. Okay, we are sending the memory location's address, and that address will be received inside this aptr. Here you do one thing, star aptr is equals to 40. We are keeping some values. We are receiving empty variable references and we are keeping some values into those empty references. Star bptr equals to 60. Like this you put 40 and 60 into aptr and bptr. Now save it, compile it. Okay, it is showing some error over here. Void upflow. Okay, here the return type, if you see, it should be void because I declared the function as void type, but I'm using the return type integer. That's why I was getting the error. Compile, as you can see the compilation successful. Now go and run. As you can see, from the calling function we are not passing any values, but from the called function we are keeping 40 into aptr, so that is received inside a variable, and 60 into bptr, and that is received into b variable. Okay, so this is something we call it as the upward communication. Okay, from down towards up we are sending the values. Okay, so here changes made to the formal parameters. So whatever changes you are doing, initially the actual parameters are empty, isn't it? Initially the actual parameters are empty because we have not initialized any values to the actual parameters. So here a comma b are actual parameters. Okay, here a comma b are actual parameters. And what are my formal parameters? Here the addresses or the memory locations are my formal parameters. Okay, you are doing the changes to the formal parameters, and those changes you are seeing into actual parameters. Those changes, here we are keeping 40 and 60 into a comma b, and that 40 and 60 we are seeing inside the calling function. So that means whatever changes you are doing to the formal parameters, they are affecting the actual parameters. So that statement you can read over here. Okay, yes. And the last function communication type is the bidirectional communication. Okay, bidirectional communication in the sense the communication should be in both ways. That means both the calling function must send the values to the called function, and after modifying, the called function must also send back the values to the calling function. Okay, so both calling function is also sending the data to the called function, and called function is also sending the data back to the calling function. So this type of communication, we call it as a bidirectional communication. Okay, if you read the first statement in this slide, bidirectional communication occurs when the calling function sends data down to the called function. So this is one way. After processing, the called function sends data up to the calling function, down to the called function, up to the calling function. So bidirectional. In both the ways, in both the directions, the communication is taking place over here. Okay, in both directions, the communication is taking place over here. So that's the reason we are calling this communication as the bidirectional communication. Okay, I mean, it is a mixture. It is a mixture of both. That is upward and downward. If you combine those two, you will get the bidirectional. The strategy described for upward communication can also be used for bidirectional communication. I mean, whatever program we have written for upward, that is using references, that same program we will write, but in that upward communication, the actual parameters are empty, isn't it? The actual parameters are empty, and we are not passing any values. We are not keeping any values inside the actual parameters prior to the function call or prior to the modification, because we don't want to send any values down. That's the reason we have not kept any values inside the actual parameters. But when it comes to the bidirectional, we have to make the functions communicate in both the directions. That is, calling function must send the values to the called function, and called function must also return back the values to the calling function. So in this case, what we will do means, instead of making the actual parameters empty, we put some values into them. We put some values into them, and we'll drop those values in downward communication, and inside the called function we'll do the modifications, and after the modifications we will return back the values. Okay, so yes, the demonstration I will show you how we're gonna send the and here also changes, whatever changes you are making to the formal parameters, those changes effect you are going to see inside the actual parameters. And both upward and bidirectional communications, they are the example for call by reference or pass by reference mechanism. So to twist the question, instead of asking the bidirectional communication in directly, what they will do means they will ask this indirectly. They will simply ask you to write about the pass by reference or call by reference mechanism. Okay, so we will see the demonstration now. So what I have to do, I have to do the slight changes over here. Instead of upflow, make it as byflow, and here the same thing. Okay, the function return type will be void only, and here by only, and instead of making them empty, 10, 20, and here APTR is equals to star APTR plus 40 and star APTR plus 60. So these are my formal parameters. Star APTR my formal parameter, and initially what I am doing, I am keeping some value into A variable and I am keeping some value into B variable. those memory locations, when we are transferring from here to here, from calling function to the called function, APTR will receive the memory location of A, and BPTR will receive the memory location of B. And when you dereference, applying this star operator to APTR, we call it as dereferencing. And if you dereference the memory location, you will get the value. So here what value you will get, in the sense whatever value inside A you are having, that value you will get at this place, APTR. So inside A we were having 10. So that 10 will come over here from calling function. From calling function we are receiving 10 to this point. So this is downward flow, as you can see. From here to here 10 is coming. So this is downward flow. 10 plus 40. So whatever value you will get as the result of this addition operation, that is 50, isn't it? 10 plus 40 is equals to 50. That 50 again we are keeping in that same memory location. That memory location will return back to here. Okay, will return back to here. That is here indirectly, when you are doing like this, A star APTR plus 40, indirectly what you are doing, you are keeping that 50 value inside A variable only, because this is the memory location of A variable. So inside A only we are keeping that value, and when you print the value of A over here, instead of getting 10, what you will get, what you will see over here, you will see the recent modification, that is 50, you will see over here. The recent modification is 50, so that 50 you will see over here. So sending back the data to the calling function. From the called function we are sending back data to the calling function. Again here also same thing. B value 20, B's memory location we are passing, B's memory location we receive here. When you dereference B's memory location, here you put B. Okay, when you dereference B's memory location, you will get B value, that is 20. 20 plus 60, 80. That overall 80 we are again keeping in B's memory location. So what will happen? Indirectly the B variable's content will be modified and it will become like 80. Here it will become 50 and here it will become 80. So that 50 we are storing into A variable, and this 80 we are storing into B variable. So both the A and B variables get modified, and the same thing you will see on the output screen. Here also the changes made to the formal parameters. Here whatever changes you are doing to the formal parameters. Changes made to the formal parameters are affecting my actual parameters. Okay, are affecting my actual parameters. Save this. Compile it. Compilation, as you can see, it is failed. Why means here instead of by we are keeping up. So by flow. Now save it. Compile. As you can see, the compilation is successful. Now you run the program to see the output. 50 and 80, as we discussed, 50 and 80 we are getting. Okay, the actual parameters got modified. Initially the actual parameters are holding 1020, and after by flow call they are holding 50, 80. So actual parameters get modified. So this is another example of call by reference, and this is the bidirectional communication, bidirectional flow. In your interfunction communication, bidirectional flow. Hopefully you understood this one. So the next concept in this functions is passing arrays to functions. This is also another important question. This is also a 7 marks question. LAQ, passing arrays to functions. You have to prepare for this question also. Passing array to functions. So in how many different ways we can pass the arrays? Passing normal variables we have already seen, isn't it? Passing normal variables we have already seen. I mean, so far whatever concepts we discussed, like your function types, your interfunction communication, all the programs under global variables, local variables, actual parameters, formal parameters, whatever programs we have seen, all those programs are dealing with passing normal variables only. Passing parameters are nothing but passing normal variables only. But being an element, your array being a collection, it can also be passed as an argument to the function. So when you are passing arrays as an argument to the function, what are our possibilities? How we can do that one? And what are the program examples over here? All those things we need to study in this particular concept. Okay. Arrays can also be passed as parameters to functions when required. So when we do this one, as a practice we can do, or when you are developing an application, as a requirement you can do. Okay, but over here, as we are learning C language, as we are practicing the programs of C language, we have to do all these concepts as a practice only. Okay, so arrays can also be passed as parameters to functions when required. And in how many different ways we can achieve this one? In the sense, in two different ways. There are two different possibilities in which arrays can be passed. There are two different possibilities in which arrays can be passed. So we can pass, because when we are saying array, what is it exactly? When we are saying an array, it is a collection. First of all, it is a collection. It will have more number of values, not a single value. It will have more number of values. So from this more number of values, how we can pass the values to our functions? Okay, how we can pass? There are different options. The first is passing individual elements. So from this array, as you know, when you are declaring an array, the index will start from 0. This is 1, 2, 3 and 4. Okay, and this is your array A. Okay, this is your array A. So if you want to refer this first element, you have to use its index value. That is A of 0 will indicate this first element. So if you want to refer to this second element, A of 1. Third element, A of 2. Fourth element, A of 3. Last element, A of 4. Like this. Like this we can access, or we can refer all elements from our array. So now when you have an array like this, so what are our options in which we can pass this array as argument to your function? As an argument is nothing but as an parameter. Okay, as a parameter to a function, in the sense we can pass the individual elements from the array. So individual elements are nothing but you can pass this element separately, this element separately. Likewise, you can pass all the elements separately. So that is passing individual elements. Or you can pass this entire array as a whole, as a single element. You can pass the entire array as a whole, as a single element. So these two things we need to discuss now. Passing the individual elements and passing the whole array. The first one, passing the individual elements. So passing individual elements means separating the array with the help of indexes, and you can pass every individual element from that array as an argument, as a parameter to the function. So this can also be achieved in two different ways. You can pass their values, there in the sense individual elements. You can pass the individual elements values. Okay, individual element values, or you can pass their addresses like references. Okay, you can pass the addresses of their individual elements. Okay, two things you have to remember. Whenever we are talking about individual elements, those individual elements are nothing but your variables only. Inside an array, what is an array? It is a collection of variables. So when we are talking about individual variables from individual elements from the array, that is nothing but variables from the array. So when we have variables, we can pass the values of the variables, or we can pass the addresses of those variables. Okay, values as well as addresses. Again, two more concepts. So passing individual element values and passing individual element addresses. So passing the data values. First we will see how we can pass the individual values from the array. Okay, individual data values of arrays can be passed using their indexes along with the array name. So what we have to do when you are passing the individual elements from the array, take the help of array name. We cannot pass them directly. Okay, we cannot pass them directly simply by keeping their number or simply by using the array name. What we have to do, we have to use the combination array as well as index. So if you put array followed by the respective elements index, then what will happen? That particular element will be passed as a parameter to the function. Okay, as long as the type is matching. So here one more thing we need to focus, one more thing we need to understand. When you are passing the individual elements, at the reception end, that is nothing but at the called function, the called function will receive the values as normal variables only. This particular thing you have to understand. We are passing the individual elements from the array in the calling function. But at the called function is completely unaware what is going on. He will simply receive the individual values like normal variables. That, like a program, I will show you. Okay? With the help of a program, I will show you. Okay? As long as the type is matching, the called function is completely unaware whether the value is coming from an array or a normal value. It will consider the receiving value as a normal value only. It is completely unaware that the value is coming from a array. Okay, it will receive it like a normal value only. As you can see over here, what we are doing here, we are passing, we have declared a normal variable. It is a variable only, and we are passing that variable and we are receiving that variable over here. Here also we have declared an array, and in this array how many elements we have? We have total 10 elements. From index 0 to 9, we have total 10 elements. So in these 10 elements, what element we are passing? We are passing the fourth element, a of 3, in the sense the fourth element from the array, and that fourth element will be passed like a normal variable only, normal single value only. That's the reason when you are receiving that value from this array, we are receiving like a normal variable only. As you can see over here, we are receiving like a normal variable, because the called function, this is your called function. The called function is completely unaware what the calling function has done with the actual parameter, whether it is sending that actual parameter like a normal variable, or whether the calling function is sending the actual parameter from the array. It is completely unaware. It will receive that value like a normal value only. Okay, so now I will demonstrate this one with the help of a programming example. So simply delete that one, hash include stdio.h, then int main of void, and this is my complete program structure. So now I need to declare a function. Okay, so function is not going to return anything. Pass arr, pass array. Okay, and in this I am going to pass two integer values. Let us say two integer values I am passing. So now here what I am doing, I am declaring an array of some 10 elements, and I am initializing the values here itself. Instead of 10, take 5 only, because if you take 10, you have to initialize 10 values. So I want to initialize only 5 values. So 3, 2, 9, 76, 54. 5 values, right? So okay, so 5 values I have initialized. So this is my a of 0, a of 1, a of 2, a of 3, a of 4, my 5 variables. Hopefully you understood. If you have any kind of doubt over here, you need to clarify this. Okay, then come down and call that function, that is pass array of, pass any two. So I want to pass this 9 and 54. Let us assume I want to pass only two individual elements, 9 and 54. So what I can do, this is a of 0, this is a of 1, this is a of 2. So I need to pass a of 2, this is a of 3, and this is a of 4. I need to pass a of 2 and a of 4. That I am doing now. A of 3, comma a of 4. At the end, put the semicolon. Okay, so don't do anything over here. So whatever values we have received, just add those values into this pass array function. Void pass array. Here I have to receive those values x comma y. Okay, I have to receive those values. I am receiving those values like normal variables only. As you can see, I am passing this a of 3 from the array, but when I am receiving it like a normal variable. I am passing this a of 4 from the array, but when I am receiving like a normal variable. Now what I will do, I will print their values. Okay, printf received values, percentile d comma percentile d. Here you put x comma y. So what I should get over here, the x value and y value. X value must be the a of 3, this is 9, and y value must be a of 4, that is 54. Okay, 9 and 54 I'm expecting as output. Let us see we will get or not. Yes, you can see. Okay, 76. Okay, A of 3, A of 4 we said. Here we are passing A of 3. You pass A of 2 because we said 9 we're going to pass, right? So 9 means this is A of 0. Index will start from 0. This is A of 0, this is A of 1 and this is A of 2. So we need to pass A of 2. And this is A of 3 and this is A of 4. So 9 and 54 to get, I need to put the index values like 2 and 4. So if you put A of 2, that 9 will be copied into X. If you put A of 4, that 54 will be copied into Y. And when you are printing the value of X and Y, you will get 9 and 54. Once again, you save, compile, and you see, yes, now we got 9 and 54 as you can see here. Hopefully you understood. 9 and 54. Just close this and yeah. Go back to your PPT. Yeah, here the demonstration of passing data values from an array is over. Now we need to pass the addresses. Okay. The addresses of the elements of the array can be passed to function. We can also pass the addresses, not only the normal values, but also we can pass the addresses. Okay. So what we have to do when you are passing the addresses, yeah, you need to put the ampersand operator along with the index, because we are not passing the address of the entire array, rather than we are passing the address of individual elements from the array. Okay. So the individual element addresses can be passed just like any other variable address. So when you are making the array name with index, it will behave like a normal variable only. Okay. Because giving the index to the array name, you are referring the individual element. So every individual element inside your array, it is a normal variable only. Getting the individual variable from the array and applying the ampersand operator to it, you will get the address of that individual element. Okay. So simply to pass an address, to pass an element's address, the address operator can be prefixed to the element's indexed reference. So first what you have to do, take the array name, apply the index, then after applying the index, you will get the individual element. Then apply the ampersand to get the address of that individual element. Okay. So suppose take an array of some 5 element. Already we did it, isn't it? A of 5 equals to, we are initiating, let us say 3, 9, 7, 44, 32. Like this I have initialized. So this is 0th, 1, 2, 3, 4 elements. Sorry, 4 index. Total 5 elements, 4 index, 0 to 4. So suppose if I want to take the address of this 4th element, let us say 4th element. How you can get the 4th element? A of 3 will become 4th element. A of 3 will become 4th element, and apply the ampersand to it, you will get the address. Okay, you will get the address of 4th element. So in that same way, so if you pass the addresses, when you made the changes to the in references, when you are passing, when you are doing the when you are applying the call by reference mechanism, and if you do the changes to the formal parameters, those changes you can see inside actual parameter, isn't it? You can see those changes inside actual parameters. So let me just modify this program. So instead of, now what we are doing, we are passing the addresses. So put the pointers instead of normal variables, put the pointers. And when you are calling pass array, when you are calling, simply make addresses over here. Instead of normal values, put the addresses. Ampersand A of 2 and percent A of 4, like this. So then next thing, after this what we have to do? Yes, go to the called function. So this is my called function, and receive the addresses. Okay, instead of ptr, normal variables, receive the addresses. Why ptr? So received the actual parameters into formal parameters. So these are my actual parameters. Okay, A of 2, A of 4 are my actual parameters, and we are applying call by reference mechanism. So in call by reference mechanism, changes made to the formal parameters must also affect the actual parameter. So that I am doing now. XPTR equals to star XPTR. I'm adding 10 to it. I'm adding 10 to it. Same, star YPTR equals to star YPTR plus 10. To this also I'm adding 10. Okay. So now what we are passing over here, the address of A of 2. Address of A of 2. So this is 0, this is 1, this is 2. So 9 we are passing over here. Not 9. The memory location, the entire memory location 9 we are passing over here. So that 9 memory location we will receive into XPTR. So over here star XPTR applying indirection on the memory location will give the value 9 over here. So 9 plus 10 it will become 19. So in that same location what will happen? 19 will come. At the place of 9, 19 will come. Then we are passing A of 4, address of A of 4. That is 54 we are passing. 54's memory location we are passing. That memory location's address we will receive into YPTR. So this YPTR is holding now the address of 54. So applying indirection on YPTR will give value 54 and adding 10 to it will give 64. Isn't it? Will give 64, and that 64 we are storing into YPTR, into this memory location YPTR. So indirectly what will happen, whatever changes you are doing to the formal parameters, those changes will you can see inside actual parameters. So here what I am doing, yeah, I will print the values of actual parameters. So they are nothing but the A of 2 and A of 4. Percentile D, comma A of 2, comma A of 4. Like this. Hopefully you understood. So put the semicolon at the end. Now go compile the program. Compilation successful. Now run the program. As you can see, the value 9 got updated with 19 because we are printing A of 2 only, and this is your A of 2. This is A of 0, A of 1, this is A of 2, and A of 2 got updated with 19. Okay. Then we have A of 4. A of 4 is also updated with 10, that is 54 plus 10, that is 64 it is showing. Okay, 64 it is showing. Hopefully you understood this one. So now once again go back to your PPT. So passing addresses, individual element addresses is over. Now how we can pass the entire array? How we can pass the whole array? That is the entire array. That concept we need to discuss. Passing the whole array. Okay. So when we discussed the concept of arrays, there I mentioned one point that if you give the array name, okay, if you give just the array name without any index, it will give the address of the first memory location. Whatever first memory location we are going to have in an array, that first memory location's address will be saved inside the array name itself. Okay, inside the array name itself. So in C, the name of an array holds the address of the first element in the array. Okay, the name of the name of an array holds the address of the first element in the array. Using array name and index value, the complete array elements can be accessed. So what you have to do, just take the first location's address, that is nothing but array name, followed by apply the index, suitable index. So suppose if you want to access the first element from the array, apply the 0th index. Second element, apply first index. Third element, apply 2 index. Likewise, we have to apply the index on the array name, where array name is holding the address of the first element. Okay, so suppose here I will explain that one. A is the array name. Okay, A is the array name, and this is your entire array with 5 elements, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like this. So this is 0th index, this is first index, this is second index, third index, fourth index. Likewise, this is your A array. Hopefully you understood. So now in order to access this first element, what we are doing, so this A, when I am pointing this arrow like this, what it means, whatever address, I'm not talking about the value, whatever address this first memory location is holding, that address is indirectly available inside the array name. So if you give just the array name, you will get the address of this first location. And to that first location's address, if you apply the index, so to that first location's address, if you apply the index, you are receiving the value. Okay? Okay, like this, 1, this value, a of 2, this value. Likewise, we are accessing all the values from the array. Okay? So, passing the array name instead of a single element allows the called function to refer the same array back in the calling function. So if instead of passing the individual elements, or instead of passing the addresses of the individual element, you can pass the entire array as an argument. So what we have to do, simply instead of passing individual elements, or instead of giving the index when you are passing, or instead of applying the ampersand operator when you are passing the address, simply put the array name itself. It will give the address of the first location, and using that address we can access the entire array by applying the suitable index in our programming. So that thing to understand, we'll do this practical. Just come to here, stdio.h. So we are passing the entire array. So when you are passing the entire array, you have to put the indication. You have to do the declaration like this, int of. So this indicates that we are going to pass the entire array. Okay, passing the normal variable int, passing the pointer int star, passing the array int, like this. Remember all these things. Okay, when you are passing normal variable, just put the data type of that variable. When you are passing the pointer, put the data type followed by star. And when you are passing the array, put the type and followed by the subscript, like this. So this indicates that we are going to pass an entire array and we are not going to return anything. So this same array I am using, a of 5, 329, 76, 54. Okay, then yeah, pass array function I am calling. So instead of passing these things, what I have to do? Put a only. Put a. Then I am printing the individual values, comma a of 3. Okay, comma, yeah, here from 0 it will start, right? A of 0 means 3, a of 1 means 2, a of 2 means 9, then a of 3 means 76, comma a of 4, the last one, that is 54. Okay, I'm printing the actual parameters over here, and in formal parameters, how we receive the array means int list, like this. You can give any user defined name followed by, you must have to put these curly brackets, open curly bracket and closing curly bracket. You must have to put this one. Okay, then remove this. So whatever we received over here, this will be treated like a formal parameter. So it is something like passing reference. Passing the reference, because array name, when you are passing the address of the first memory location. So now using this list, you can access the entire array. So whatever elements you have inside A, you can access over here. So what I will do, I will simply copy this printf statement. I will put that printf statement over here, and formal, I am saying formal parameters, and here instead of A, I have to use list of 0. Here a list of 1, here list of 2, here a list of 3, and finally the list of 4. So now you see, first we will execute this program and then we'll do slight modification. That is nothing but we will do some changes to the formal parameters, and we will see those changes are going to affect my actual parameters or not. Compile, successfully compiled, and run. As you can see, yeah, here before formal parameters I need to put backslash n. Okay. Run. As you can see, formal parameters from called function to the calling function, the actual parameters have not been changed. As you can see, we are getting 3, 2, 9, 76, 54, the actual parameters even after the function call. And inside the function, that is called function, formal parameters, inside this list, when we are printing list of 0, list of 1, we are getting the same values. So that means whatever values we have inside this array, those values get copied from A to list. Hopefully you understood. So then close it. Now do some changes to any two elements inside formal parameters. Do some changes to any two elements. That is list of 2 I am modifying. List of 2 in the sense this 9. In actual parameter 9 will get modified. Okay, equals to some 34 I am saying. Then list of 3 or list of 4, let us say. List of 4 I am modifying. List of 4 means that 54 will get modified, and in place of that one we will get 224 like this. Okay, save it. Now compile it. Compilation successful. Now run it. As you can see, 76, yeah, 9 we modified, isn't it? List of 2 we modified. So when you are modifying list of 2, indirectly what is happening? Actual parameter is getting modified. 9 is getting modified and you are getting 34. And when you are modifying list of 4, okay, list of 4 when you are modifying, indirectly A of 4 is getting modified. In place of 54, we are getting 224. Likewise, you can even pass the entire array as an argument, the whole array as an argument to the function. Remember these concepts. These are very, very, very important concepts. Two LAQs we discussed in today's session. That is inter-function communication and passing arrays to functions. These two concepts are very important from this third unit. Okay. More number of times they repeated these concepts in your external exams. Either this or that. Definitely they will put one question from these two LAQs. Either they will ask inter-function communication, or they will ask the passing parameters to functions. Passing arrays to functions. Definitely they will put one question. Okay. Thank you very much, students. Rest of the things we will see in our next class. That is only 2 more concepts are left in this third unit. That is the first concept is I will show you here. The library functions, standard library functions, the math functions we have to discuss. All the math functions with examples we will discuss. And after that, the basic algorithms, like how we gonna find what we call the searching and sorting techniques. 2 searching techniques, 2 sorting techniques. There is another 2 classes. So hopefully in my next class only, I will try to wind up this mathematical functions, library functions. Then I will try to wind up the at least the searching mechanisms, both linear search as well as binary search. After that, we will be left with only that is bubble sort and selection sort, that we will discuss afterwards. And so that we can get into the 4th unit. That is it will take some time. 4th unit, it will take some time. Like I'm giving like 5 to 6 classes for 4th unit, and after that we will get into the 5th unit. Okay, hopefully. Thank you very much, students.